This morning, we are sharing a story about the power of finding your own voice. Susie Rinehart was an ultra-marathon runner. 2 weeks after winning the Masters division, she faced a life-changing diagnosis. She had a tumor wrapped around her brainstem and vocal cords and was given two options: do nothing and likely die within 5 months, or face high-risk emergency surgery. She chose surgery, which lasted 36 hours, leaving her quite literally without a voice. In the silent months that followed, Rinehart wrote as her vocal cords healed and learned how to choose joy over fear, courage over perfection. Susie Rinehart joins us this morning to share. I could hardly get through that introduction without tearing up myself. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
You have been through an incredible journey, and it started on your 15th wedding anniversary. Take me through that day and the news that you received.
Sure. I was in the small examination room with my husband, and I remember the neurosurgeon looking right at me and saying, first you'll lose your voice, and then you won't be able to run or even walk, and then you'll die.
And then you'll die. How do you take that and even take a step forward? How do you hear that and move forward at all?
Well, fear was the loudest voice in the room, and luckily my husband said to me, we're all gonna die. How do you wanna live? And so I just decided that to go forwards, I was gonna have to choose joy over fear and brave over perfect.
And so you went ahead with the surgery. The surgery and the diagnosis, that left you without a voice. You could not speak once the surgery was done, and then you began to write. So take me through that. How did you find your voice when you couldn't speak at all?
Right. Well, I love to talk. And so it's not surprising that life forced me to shut up in order to be quiet and still and listen. So I listened, and I listened to my kids and to my husband, but mostly I was listening to myself. And when I was listening to myself, I noticed that underneath fear, there was this quiet, spunky voice of joy that was so relieved I was finally listening. So I picked up my pen and I wrote my way back to a strong voice.
You say, and this resonates with me so much, that the opposite of joy is not sadness, it's perfectionism. Yeah. And as a mom, I often say, my kids don't need a perfect mom, they just need a happy mom. So take me a little bit through what it means for you.
Well, yeah, so I was raised that I could be anything, but the way I internalized that was that I had to be everything. And I ran myself ragged trying to be a perfect mom and a perfect leader and a perfect wife. And what happened was that instead of being myself, I was trying to be somebody else. And I never thought I was a perfectionist, but I also never believed that I was doing enough or that I was good enough. But joy is when we're playful and curious, and I've learned that you can't be playful and anxious at the same time.
No, and you can't make mistakes and have fun.
Right.
Right. You talk about clean pain versus dirty pain. What does that mean?
Right. This is something I've learned from Oprah's coach, Martha Beck, and it's been really helpful for me. And that is that clean pain is real. It's loss, it's the broken bone, it's the divorce, it's the cancer diagnosis. But we create a lot of our own suffering. So dirty pain is everything, the negative thinking, the worry, the imagining the worst case scenario that we add to it. So for example, I was in the grocery store the other day, and a good friend of mine looked at me strangely and walked away. And I went to the 7 things that I must have done wrong, right? So I thought that maybe I'd forgotten her birthday or her child at a soccer practice or something. But it turns out that I hadn't done anything wrong. She had just forgotten her glasses. So that's like dirty pain, and we don't need to add suffering. There's already a ton in this world.
These are the stories that we tell ourselves in our head, that we work ourselves up about, that don't exist at all. They're just stories that we've told ourselves.
Exactly.
You really discovered the power of saying no, and by finding the joy in saying no.
Right, so that was an interesting thing, that our voices are so powerful. And I realized that I had plenty of lists of what I had to do, but I had no idea what I wanted to do anymore because I didn't have space for it. So by saying no, for example, I was invited to a Super Bowl party that we'd always gone to. And this time I called my friend and I said, I love you, but I hate football. I'm not coming. And instead of the ground falling up beneath my feet, she just said, good for you. Let's go for a walk instead. So when I thought that I would, be rejected or lose a friend, what I got was a better invitation. And so that by saying no, I made space to say yes to the things that I loved, and I actually ended up finishing the book.
Susie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And what I have is an incurable disease, so it's controllable. And what that means is that I have to live with the unknown, and I'm making peace with that. And I basically wrote the book to be a toolkit for myself and for others who are facing the unknown and just have to put one foot in front of the other every day.
We're so thankful that you came in today, and I'm so thankful to talk to you because I'm left feeling inspired.
Great.
Yeah, I'm glad to meet you.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you, Kelsey.
So you can read more about Susie's story in her memoir, Fierce Joy.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.